All right.
That's good.
Now,
more people supporting. We appreciate.
Now let's go. Let's talk about.
We should not sleep again.
Yeah, no, nobody slept.
Let's talk about our
From
finances now.
From me, how will people sleep?
It's okay. Huh? Now let's talk about our current debt levels. And now we're getting the news because we have the IMF meetings that took place in Marrakesh, Morocco. The finance minister was there giving assurances that China, etc., are now coming in so that our external debts could be adequately restructured. It means that we're getting some insights. But there's also a bigger conversation about how we're able to accrue $11 billion because we thought that, well, once we have these, $3 billion annually, we'll be fine. As you know, we even have a debt, okay, or those floated Euro bonds that was floated for 40 years. So 40 years. So we have a 40-year bond. We'll be paying my generation and next generation as well. So let's take an insight from the finance minister. Then we'll come to discuss how did we get here, dispassionately.
Of the Central Bank of China, we don't perceive any reluctance on their part to participate in this positively. Actually, within the past month, I think they are close to a resolution in Zambia, in Sri Lanka, and in Suriname. And so, following that trend, we do expect them to cooperate with that. And there's very good assurance from them that they will do that.
And so we're getting the external creditors to have their debt, what we owe them, restructured. Mr. Isi, how is it going so far? What are you getting from the corridors of government?
Yeah, thank you. We've gotten into this level, and we initially, as you're aware of, didn't want to go to the Bretton Woods institutions, but we got to a point that we had no choice. We made that decision to go to the IMF for support. And as part of the arrangements is to have your debt restructured locally and internationally. Fortunately, we've successfully restructured the local debts by going through DDEP and all that. And today, minority people are doing Occupy Bank of Ghana and Co. for some other reasons they thought wasn't properly situated. As citizens, they have that right to raise that issue. The other aspect, IMF managing director has been helping Ghana to get the, Asian countries and the European countries to come in to support Ghana's debt restructuring, external debts. As you know, the critical aspect is the capital market one. That one, you cannot touch it. But with China, with Europe and others, it's possible. And so fortunately, there's been progress made, as said by the finance minister. And so once this external debt restructuring is agreed upon, it opens the way, because when they came for the second staff level agreement, they are satisfied and they've given us the clear. But pending the agreement at the international level, and as you rightly said, the Marrakesh engagement is also to deepen this assurance that we're going to have this debt restructuring. Once it is done, then the door is open for the release of the second tranche, which is about $600 million by December. And we are upbeat about that. Yes, I believe we'll be coming into why we got here and all that.
Start it, please.
Yeah.
How did we get here?
Oh, no, it's, as a nation, you have your programs and for the benefit of the people. This government came in with a lot of news. I'm saying new, not news, okay, news. New thing, for instance, that you're having one district, one factory. It's a policy at industrializing the nation, vehicle assemblage plants, the social programs, expanding them, and one constituency, 1 million, which brought about the Southern, Middle Belt, and Northern Development Authorities and co. I saw that, look, once you're putting these programs in place, these are investments against the future. In the immediate, some will say, oh, why this? I thought we took on a lot of cost items at the get-go. We wanted to solve a lot of things at the go. And that...
So you agree that you overestimated what the government could do? Yeah, based on what money was available in the kitty.
We were ambitious, and we thought we were going to expand the revenue generation frontiers to the point that it can match up and all that. And as we said, if you are taking $3 billion from the capital market per year, definitely any financial expert, economist will tell you, hey, wait a minute, take a second look at that, okay? And so, haven't done that, the interest you're going to be paying, as you said, between 6% to 8%, definitely cannot be something that you call mincemeat, okay? And so all these things have aggravated the situation. The debt profile and the debt interest payment you have had to do every year was something that was difficult. And then, of course, unfortunately, 2017, 18, 19, when we're having the positives, 2020, 21, 22 happened to be the biting year and because of what we all know happened across the globe. And some countries are facing the dangers. Ghana, yes, if people ask me what are some of the things that we as a government must take responsibility for, which has brought us to this point, definitely the cost items that we brought on to help the people. I thought there were too many at a time, okay, it's part of it. And then definitely we cannot say the borrowing didn't impact. It did. Otherwise, we wouldn't be doing restructuring locally and externally. And then the rating agencies also doing their work. It got us to a point at a point in time, junk status. And that wasn't good news for any country. Okay, we admitted it. The finance minister admitted and and we've taken.
The finance minister admits that
yes, the government
we overborrowed because we thought that the slates were clean. When did he ever admit that?
No, that we're faced by crunch and difficulties. Okay, and we have no. If you don't admit, what are you going to do at the IMF? The president himself admitted, this government has admitted that we are in a difficult time and we needed the support and the help. Fortunately, the finance minister was in China, was in Paris, was in the United States and to engage these institutions, and their response has been positive. And so at the last mid-year review, the finance minister did say we've turned the corner. Even though we're still having difficulties, we are very optimistic that with the policies and programs that we are putting in place, cutting down on expenditure locally. Roland, you know that in the mid-year budget, the finance minister did tell $1 billion. We had then disagreed. In spite of that, we're still having some projects going on. We've not halted most projects. And so balancing the situation and getting our finances right, we need to go. This government's borrowing is not being a fluke. It's been invested massively in road infrastructure, moving road infrastructure, as we compared. 8 years of the NDC, they have done about 4,800 kilometers per the SONA, the last State of the Nation addressed by the President to Parliament, compared to about 11,934 kilometers in 6 years.
Including feeder roads and all those ones.
Yes, all of them. Okay. It was the same thing. Same comparison for those ones. I have the data. These are all this is the document.
I have the document. It's not in real terms
yes.
that it's less than 2,000 kilometers of asphalted roads, and the rest are rehabilitated feeder roads, etc.
Oh no, asphalted.
So when you put all together, you say that says 11,000. Then you make it big. It looks as if that everybody is
it is. I just did travel across the country. The people in Tamale to Yendi, massive road going on. Okay, there are a lot of places where projects are going. You get it. And then there's school infrastructure. Okay, STEM projects and sports infrastructure.
How many STEM schools have been built?
About 10 of them.
10. About
10 of them, you know, and the TVET sector, the education sector, infrastructure, you know, the red and yellow, whatever we are talking about. What's the name of this? The school? Oh, come on.
Gold track.
Yes, and
you mean the tracks?
Yes, there's a term for it, you know.
The double track.
Double track. This time, yes, it's gradually phasing out. It's gradually phasing out. So it tells you the massive infrastructure that is going in for the comfort of our students. And so these are all part of the debts that we've taken. People may disagree, but I would not sit here and say the debts didn't in fact impact us. It did. But then we're taking steps to ensure that we put things back on track. And the IMF seem to be agreeing with the steps we've taken so far.
But before you come in, while Ghana was said to be a poster boy, it was because, according to what has been reported on Bloomberg, the Financial Times, etc., by key analysts and watchers of emerging markets, Ghana, after the government inherited that IMF, the John Dramani led government, decided to go on activity. And so by 2018, we went for 3 billion. Now, the 3 billion, 2 billion of that was a coupon rate for a period of 10 years. Now, 1 billion was for 30 years. So from 2018, for the next 30 years, you can count. There's going to be that maturation in the next 30 years. By 2019, again, 3 billion. And the years of the coupon rate by way of the maturation, 7 years, 12 years, and another 31 years where we're going to have that maturation. In 2020, the year of the COVID period, where government says that, oh, there was COVID, etc., we went for another 3 billion. And let me tell you this. That 3 billion, we have a maturation period in 3 tranches of what we floated: 6 years, 14 years, and 40 years. So we have a bond of 40 years that's going to mature from 2020. We've already done 3 years of that. 2021, we took another 3 billion. 3 billion. Then the chicken came home to roost in 2022. Couldn't get what we wanted from the market. Now, there's every indication that for the next 10 years, we're supposed to be paying some $7.8 billion to our creditors. The government went on a borrowing spree, didn't it, Edwin?
They were borrowing prior to this date.
I think that we need to situate the conversation well. We just didn't start with 2018. No.
Thank you.
Immediately, the Akufo-Addo administration took over. They came with a borrowing agenda. So the first year, by April 2017, they had already gotten $2.25 billion from Franklin Templeton. And you remember the issues, the conflict, and all of those matters. 2018, they did $2 billion. 2019, $3 billion. 2020, $3 billion. 2021, $3 billion. So if you put together, in the space of 4 years, they have done $11 billion in Eurobond alone. Now, if you add the Franklin Templeton bonds to rate, that's $13 billion in 5 years. In fact, government decided in 2022 to go back to the Eurobond market, save that were downgraded immediately after the 2022 budget was read in November 2021. And so thereafter, our access to the bond market became problematic. Now, guess what? Even in 2022, when we didn't get access to the Eurobond market, the Bank of Ghana stepped in for government of Ghana. So remember this. In 2022, we were downgraded. We had become a junk state, the worst we have ever seen in the management of this economy. That year, Bank of Ghana stepped in as investors and gave this government, contrary to the express provision of the Bank of Ghana Act, 43 billion Ghana cedis, almost equivalent to another $3 billion. So consistently, this government had been managing the economy with borrowing. And what they were doing is to create an artificial strength for the city. So each year, if you notice, they were doing 2 billion, averagely 2 billion each year from the very time they came to power. And that is what they have been using to shore up the city. So in 2022, when we could not get the so-called Euro bond, immediately it created a distortion in the exchange rate. And that is why you notice that for the first time, the exchange rate went as far as 15 cedis per dollar. Because that particular year, Bank of Ghana was just printing cedis. It was no longer dollars. Because they were giving the cedis. Ordinarily, the dollars come to show up. We're no longer getting the dollars. And that is what created a crisis that we are still in. But you see, something interestingly happened. Roland, what is this? Do you know that in 8 years, Mills Mahama and Miss Arthur, the overall Eurobond borrowed was $3.5 billion in 8 years. How we're using for debt servicing became the highest since 1957. In fact, the worst we had come close was Achampon's administration. And that is why we had to effectively do Yentmintua. If you remember, under Achampon, it was Yentua, creating a situation that you may have the money, just that you don't want to pay. This one, it is the case of Yentmintua. We don't have, we are bankrupt, we are broke. And that is what Akufo-Addo and his lousy vice president, who proud to becoming the vice president, created a messianic view about himself that with a magic wand, with the thing that Okonfa-Enokye was holding, that he could conjure the golden stool, he could just change the Ghanaian economy. Today, when was the last time you've heard the vice president speak about the economy?
He's always speaking.
Because he cannot. And that is why he has quickly moved. And he's running under so-called digitalization. Because he has seen that he had become a very bad example of how to manage an economy.
Well, if I hear him very well, he said digitalization is part of the emerging technology breaker to ensure that as a disruptor, we are able to leverage on that to develop.
Leverage on what?
You think it's too much verbose or English?
Hold on. The man in opposition told us, he said, when in doubt, observe the exchange rate.
Yes, he did.
As the chair of the economic mismanagement team, this one is not a management team, it's a mismanagement team. As the chair, he had moved the exchange rate from 3.8.
4.2.
Today, they are doing in excess of 11 Ghana cedis. How is this the mark of competence? And this guy has the temerity to look Ghanaians in the face that give me the leadership of this country. I have never seen that level of insolence.
Wow.
And you see,
Is it because he's the head of the economic management?
yes,
So that's what you're talking about?
These are his ideas.
You think foremostly the responsibility lies with him?
The man, his ideas are what has brought us here.
Are you sure?
Whose idea is it?
The exogenous factors, the
Which
crisis.
exogenous factor? From the
What's
data.
the alternative?
Hold on. From the data, 2017 was there COVID?
Jesus.
No, there was not.
Was there Russia, Ukraine? Meanwhile, you did 2.25 billion. In 2028,
Average growth was
hold
what?
on.
Touch on that.
Was there COVID? You did $2 billion. 2019 was there COVID? You did $2 billion. 2020 COVID year, you did 3 billion because you went for 1 billion special drawing rights, another 1 billion. You did Eurobond, Dachi bond, and the ESLA PLC bonds, among other things.
Where the impact on the economy. Roland, ask him. He was just talking of the loan in abeyance.
What impact?
Well, the economy was expanding. There's growth. 7% average growth.
Hold on, please. Where was
exogenous factors?
hold on. Where was the growth coming from? The growth was typically driven by oil. Look at the non-oil growth. That is what shows you the real capacity of your economy. Hold on. In 2022 alone, we got in excess of $1 billion from oil alone. Which other sector of the economy contributed this much? Was it finance? Was it the service sector? Which other sector of the economy?
When you look at what the budget items are, and you even know that we tend to exceed it by way of the deficits that it's created, and then also the line items that are revenue only tend to show up or is able to, if you take a look at what the expenditure is, being wages,
interest payment and amortization,
and then other interest
and
payments
statutory payment. These three things.
So from the last budget, we even exceeded that.
You exceeded
by 106%.
You exceeded
so it means that even the two line items we're not able to meet. So as a country, the argument is that, well, we are spending and there are projects, there are other things. So we need to take responsibility for it.
What?
You don't see the project?
What projects?
Wow.
Interchanges.
Please, hold on. You see, do you know how to catch
That's what they say.
Lying government? Each one of these projects has separate loans procured for them. It is not this Eurobond.
Sure.
Each one of these projects, the Obechebilante Circle, there's a specific loan for it. The Pokwase Interchange, specific loan for it. The Tema Runabout, 54 million from Japan. Each one of these projects has a different loan agreement.
But they are debts nonetheless.
No, but that's not what the conversation.
But they were contracted
before.
before.
We are saying yes, but we are even saying that we are doing 11 billion of euro bond. Which road project is being funded by this euro bond? Tell me, which of these interchanges is being funded by this $11 billion euro bond? None whatsoever. You have specific loans for specific projects in this country.
So you see, Monica Kwaku says I should tell you, your laughing is an insult to Ghana because we're in a crisis.
Oh, Roland, that's a different matter. But you see, Roland, if you look at the amount, and I've decided to table it here, if you look at each of the loans that we have acquired, the euro bonds, let government officials tell us. For instance, when John Mahama went for 3 billion of the CDB loan, he used $1 billion for a Etuabo. What can Akufo-Addo point, he and the vice, point to us that when we went for 11 billion of euro bond, we used it for A, B, C, D. Do you know what they have been using the money for? Consumption. And you see, the painful part is that you have done in excess of 13 billion in bonds alone. Come to think of it, in 6 years, you have done 300 billion in tax revenue. So while they are borrowing, they are taxing the ordinary Ghanaian more. And so within 6 years, we have done 300 billion Ghana cedis in tax revenue. What do we have to show for it? We are back to the IMF. And what is clear, and I need to make this point clear, do you know that our finance minister, in all of this borrowing, he was benefiting?
Can you imagine this?
In all of this borrowing, his company, of which is the beneficial owner, was benefiting from the borrowing.
The argument that is made is that by the time he entered government, even before government, he had recused himself from the Daily Money. No.
So under the Companies Act, even if you leave, because you are the shareholder, you are the beneficial owner of those shares.
Invariably, you see.
And so when the shareholders take their dividend, it comes directly to you. It comes directly to the finance minister. And so ultimately, his reason for the borrowing was not one to advance a national cause, but his personal benefit. And what has happened is that the family of Mr. Akufo-Addo, of which Ken Ofori-Atta is a member, are the biggest beneficiary of this borrowing, unbridled. And in fact, the record will show, but for the downgrading, they were going to even borrow more until we're downgraded. How in God's name? If Akufo-Addo for a second had even told Ghanaians in 2016 that this is how I am going to mismanage the economy, this is how I'm going to recklessly borrow, who will give him the money? So the record will show today that this MPP administration that we unfortunately brought into power are the cause of Ghana's woes. And it is going to take a long time. Look, this government had completely wiped out middle-class income through this dubious debt restructuring program because the little savings class men decided to say that in terms of crisis, they can rely on those savings.
Buying those instruments.
Buying those instruments. They are gone. Can you imagine that as we speak? Trade Union Congress and its leadership, and I say this to them, they have agreed with government to even restructure, take a haircut on people's pension. Where have you ever seen this before? Because when we told Ken Ofori-Atta that the restructurable debt that he needed to restructure was 137 billion Ghana cedis, he told us one morning that he had done 80% participation. Do you know what he did? This guy cannot even be honest. He decided to reduce the restructurable debt from 130-something billion to 90 billion and did 80 billion and said he had done this level of participation. And that is why when he went back, the IMF told him that no, come back. So he had to go and meet TUC to restructure our pensions. Today we speak, China, the Paris Club, among other things, have about $10 billion to restructure. And that is why you notice that even the $600 million that we are expecting in November, the IMF is saying that it will be contingent on getting at least MOU from China.
But you saw the press conference.
Fortunately, it's been agreed upon. So.
Okay. What has been agreed upon? Okay. Nothing.
All right.
No, what have you signed with the Chinese or who? And you see, hold on. There's something about the Chinese. The Chinese never believe that a country is broke, technically.
Then what do they believe in?
They believe that, you see, if you have your bauxite, you can't tell me that you are broke. If you have minerals beneath, you can't tell me you are broke. And that is why it has become extremely difficult for us to reach an agreement with the Chinese. And instead of telling Ghanaians the truth, even in crisis, you are lying.
What are you talking about?
What kind of deceptive government
let
is
everything bear to the Ghanaian people. Yes.
Mr. Isi,
yes,
the key consideration is that there seemed to be the belief among the, if we have a middle class at all, because I don't think that by way of the dollar to CD threshold, there's a, maybe in Ghana, where we're local champions. At the end of the day, there seemed to be the belief among the generality of the Ghanaians. If you look at, as the MPP presidential primary is ongoing, the concerns even from the stronghold, the Ashanti region, that roads are bad. I just had Ralph, who sent me a video of how the community roads also are in terrible state. The rains have indeed exposed many of us. It looks like the government thought that spending on the social side and excessively promising was the way to go. Do you think that the government needs to come and apologize to Ghanaians for overestimating how it would have been able to manage the economy? Forget about Russia and Ukraine.
This government, that's what I told you.
What did you tell?
In terms of infrastructure, it's phenomenal. It's unmatched.
Where?
This government.
Infrastructure?
Yes.
You mean ongoing or completed?
Yeah. Some completed, some ongoing. Even 13 interchanges and 7 completed. It's not infrastructure. Roads, I've given you 11,984
13
kilometers.
interchanges.
Yes.
And then?
7 completed. Okay? And
where are they? Do you have some of them?
You know them. Okay.
Do you have some of them?
Yeah, I've completed Tema, haven't we? phase one.
The runabout.
Mahama went to China, to Japan. The Japanese government gave $54 million. What do you know about that project?
Come on. You came speaking about Eurojet. You said you have done the Eurojet project.
Because we look for the money. $300 million from Barclays.
President Kufuor did it. You came in. You completed. Nobody contested that.
So my question.
It's a government spirit. And they've done these projects, okay? And roads have gone. Yes, social programs and interventions and it's good. As we speak, the energy sector, are we having the doomsday? How much money is being pumped in there?
What money?
As we speak.
Into the energy sector.
When we came, the energy sector debt over $2.4 billion. Over $2.4 billion.
So the energy...
You took a debt from $9.5 billion to $122
and you have taken it from 122
debt to GDP from 33% to 57%. 575.
Okay, so if you
move it,
Mr. George.
about 15 percentage points in debt to the GDP.
In real
okay,
terms,
71%.
Mr. Listen to me. So in real terms,
these are data.
In real terms, by 2017, when the government took over,
that
will be the 7th of January 2017.
Yes.
What was the debt level based on assessment?
122.
Okay. What's the current debt level now?
575.
Okay, and you were a maths teacher, right?
Yes.
Okay, so if you do the subtraction...
And I'll do that, no, I don't, you don't do that in abeyance.
What do you do that? So you tell me the real figure, and let's move on to the next question.
I told you 575.
Okay, so so if you compare 102 billion or 22 billion...
122.
And then you have almost close to 600 billion.
575.
That's in excess over 450
nominal terms, yes. Nominal terms. But you see, in computation, you look at the rates. That's how you compare.
So you're looking at a percentage
You look at rates of
because it's conducive for you.
No, that's how it's done. Debt accumulation. Really? Okay, and then relative to GDP. Why do we have debt to GDP? Why do we have debt to GDP?
At the time
I'm telling you, debt to GDP moved from
office,
33% to 57% under debt.
At the time
and then it moved official up to 71% as we speak.
You moved this economy.
We had that 104
from a debt to GDP ratio of 56%.
Please, you want you speak?
No.
Remember that he spoke.
No. Allow him. Yes. I'll give you 2 minutes remaining.
Yes, you've been doing that from. I give you that respect all the time. I let that come. I respect you so much. Thank you very much. Thank you. Let's allow the processes to go on. You get it. And there have been a lot of things that this government inherited, and we've been able to put them in shape. The energy sector, the things that were in there, the national health insurance angle, the road sector and all that, okay? This government is put, and then the social programs that the IMF has agreed that we need to pursue the social programs, okay? The number of people, beneficiaries on the LEAP program, the school feeding projects and all that. All these things are there. Allowances that are paid to teachers and nurses and all that. So the government is on course. We were hit by some factors. It didn't distract us. We are still going on with things that we need to do to support the economy and the people of the country, okay? Would we rather, Council will say, would we rather left the economy to crumble, okay, when we could have come in to support? So that the investments you are talking about, the middle class and co, as we speak, people are still investing in T-bills. People are still investing.
Do you know that for some banks, that individuals have bought government T-bills, the maturation period has been moved forward. Do you know they've been doing that?
Yes.
You know that?
Yes. No, the finance minister comes out to tell us those things.
I want us to open the phone lines.
We are paying those things.
The maturity. Let me do my 2 minutes. Then you can You see,
the maturity
let's
when it happens, we pay them.
Let the record reflect.
That's true.
That in the year 2020, this government took $200 million from the stabilization fund. That $200 million translated into 1.2 billion Ghana cedis with the exchange rate then. That was the money they used for the 2020 election in the name of COVID reliefs. So if you recall, 54 million was used. But the Auditor General today had come out to say that $500 million of the COVID funds were spent outside the GIFME system. Why do you think that government of Ghana would decide to use government money outside the GIFME system? To avoid detention, to avoid. And so the whole idea of
We
using
supported enterprises.
$500 million Ghana cedis
600
outside
million.
the giving system was one to defeat the concept of
come
accountability.
on. So how
and
did the
transparency.
Auditor General see
And
that?
he said that
How
they
did he
have
see?
used the borrowed money to settle our energy problem. Today, the IPPs have already posted that government of Ghana owes them in excess of $2 billion. Correct. Right. Meanwhile, John Mohammed's vision of establishing ESLA
Do you know the
was to
contribution
use
of
the
excess
receivables
list into that?
to pay the legacy debt. When they came,
Yes.
you know what? Yes. When they came, you know what they did? They decided to use ESLA as collateral for the ESLA PLC bonds. Today, ESLA has become a
But you had
fiasco.
used road funds and co for collateral.
No, but the evidence
you had
of
used them.
We did
They
that.
were
And
all
hold on. We left you
Please.
600 million Ghana cedis.
Road
By the
fund was
time we left
mortgaged.
office.
All the statutory funds were mortgaged.
No, you came back
Under
and
you.
saw 600
Please.
million in the account.
Right.
Do you know that
Every
even the
Ghanaian knows
IMF,
this.
the
All right.
IMF program that
Please.
we entered into
You
in
borrowed
2015.
like there was no
By
tomorrow.
the time we left office, out of the $950 million, only 350 came under us. The remaining money came under you. So you have been the most resource and the most useless. How did we get
Come
here?
on. When
Now,
we have
please,
things to show for it, and the
for,
economy has
for
expanded.
those in the disaster
GDP size.
enclave following that spillage of the Akosombo Dam. So we have to change, we'll go back to the spillage by way of the super. And I'm giving you 3 minutes. My director says I can have 3 minutes. Please call in. How are you feeling? How do we hope that, or you compel NADMO to make sure you get the relief that you want, as we all wait the delegation led by the President of the Republic, President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, to ensure that we get the relief. So for disaster relief, please call in. Let's hear from you what your experiences are, the experiences of your relatives, if it's your community, strictly on the Akosombo Dam spillage and its effect on the community. So the phone lines have now been open. Let us see what we can do. What are your own experiences following the spillage? Let us know what you think. We also encourage you, please cash out. It goes with the short code *439#. I already know that for each winner, we're giving 2,000 Ghana cedis each. Please make sure that you join in this bonanza. And just in case. Can I have the number of Saji? Send it to me right now, okay?
Oh.
Saji. We have a first caller. Please, you're speaking strictly on the Akosombo Dam spillage and its effect on the communities. Good morning to you.
Hello.
Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Mohammed. I'm calling from Kumasi.
Kumasi, please, your comment on the disaster, the flood.
Let's ask the VRN, the engineers in the Akosombo Dam. Why you know say the water is coming in the dam? We didn't open already. We wait all of things go over before we come and open. Who can there go see that existing only Ghana? Why? You shut them. You shut all of them in the VRN Akosombo Dam. It is bad.
Okay. He says that the VRA should have been more disaster prepared, as well as NADMO as well. Please, the phone lines are open. Let's share experiences, your own concerns about the whole state effort, making sure that we give some relief to the displaced residents of the affected communities following the Akosombo Dam spillage. So what items have been shared so far?
Of course, we've got our usual blankets, mattresses has been sent, life jackets have been sent, of course, food items, rice, oil, all those things.
We have a caller. Good morning to you. What's your name?
Wet food has
Where are
also
you
been
calling
given.
from?
I'm calling from Adidome.
Adidome. Okay, so
Adidome.
okay, has Adidome been affected, and how extreme is it?
My name is Christian Amagulu. Adidome. Okay. Yes.
I've sent you
hello?
this number.
Well, so please, when you call, reduce the volume of your set or whichever device you're listening to us so that we don't get feedback. Don't try to listen on your TV or your device. Speak to us directly on the phone so that we tend to communicate. So again, let's know where you're calling from. It's a shame that we lost a lot from Adidome because of the poor lines. But again, tell us. Hello?
Yes, Adidome is also having a public issue. So what I want to say is that it's like the effort of NASMO is not so much.
Okay.
So if I can plead with the president, I don't think that kind of delegation, they are coming, interministerial delegation, I don't think is anything. They should rather say that, keep that money and come use it to buy items and come and give to the people in this flooding area.